San Francisco. I have no ethical problem with that, but at the beginning of seasteading, we will be vulnerable to governments, so we don't immediately get all the autonomy and independence that we might dream of. Drug havens would be cracked down upon by the United States government and other governments. Also, anything involving an anonymous financial system. So people bring up Bitcoin, love the idea. I hope it's a component of the economy of anywhere or of seasteads. And maybe in the future something like this can be the basis of some experimental seastead. But because it's anonymous, or supposed to be anonymous, it can be perceived to be a place where money launderers, tax evaders, and terrorists can run their financial activities. So that will bring anger also. There are challenges to seasteading. We look at the engineering problems. They are less significant than people often assume at first. Especially in the short term, the oil rig industry and the cruise ship industry have already solved all of these problems. They have standard solutions. People say, how will you generate electricity? We are most likely to use diesel generators at first. That's how cruise ships and oil rigs typically do it. How will you get internet access? Well, actually that one's interesting, but the standard solution is satellites, though it's slow, and I'll talk more about that later. Legal problems. There are a lot of them. 12 miles out from a country is territorial waters, so you might as well be inside the country. You need to go more than 12 miles out. The next 12 miles out to the 24-mile mark is the contiguous zone, and a restricted set of laws apply. Sanitary, fiscal, and customs laws. And after 200 miles or more, if it's measured from the continental shelf, is the exclusive economic zone, where a government can regulate activities that exploit the resources. So harvesting fish, or oil or gas, or generating wave energy can potentially be regulated by the government. All ships of a certain size must carry a flag of some country, and then theoretically the laws of that country apply on the ship. In practice, there are some countries that are so-called open registry countries, and they don't sell the flag just to citizens, but to anyone. People laugh. It sounds so dirty when I say it. I'll just sell it to anybody. But no, this is standard practice in the cargo shipping industry and in the cruise ship industry. And these are countries like Panama, Liberia is big in this industry. So we are conducting research into what flags affect you in which ways, because some countries are starting to have problems with these open registry countries, especially after shipping disasters like that recently. Other challenges, people like to bring up pirates. It's not as big as a problem as some people think. The pirates are active in two areas of the world, off the coast of Somalia and in the Straits of Malacca, near Indonesia. That could change, but the incentives of pirates are not to attack the seasteads. They typically attack large cargo ships with expensive cargoes that are the reason that they're traveling someplace. And these ships are crewed, they have relatively small crews, surprisingly small considering the size of them. And so those people are defending, if they choose to defend, they're defending their employer's property. A seasteading country is likely to be hundreds or thousands of libertarians, and libertarians often like guns. And they'll be defending their homes and families. It's not a mobile thing that you can just pick up and take to your base, and has no expensive cargo that was designed for sale somewhere. And who do you ransom? Like, that is the country. You can't ransom that. So I talked a little bit about attracting the anger of existing governments. One problem for seasteads is actually, sadly, going to be monitoring each other, because the interest for one seastead is an interest for all. They're likely, despite the fact that I want them to be very different and explore a diversity of ideas, they're likely to be tarred with the same brush. So if one seastead starts a drug haven, you're likely to see a crackdown on all of them. So we need to think about coordination systems and what kind of federation or other structure that seasteads could join to monitor that kind of thing. I've talked about the mechanism of competition and experimentation involved in seasteading, and about the Institute's strategy for achieving it. Our vision is far, to take Robin Hanson's terminology. Do you guys know Robin Hanson?
No.
Economist at George Mason University. Anybody read Less Wrong? Personality Block? Cool. There's this idea that humans can work in farm mode and near mode. I'm getting way off topic. Farm mode is for idealistic signaling. Children are the future. I will love you forever. Things like this, and like you're sincere when you say it, but when you're in looking at concrete examples, you might behave differently. So our vision is far, but incremental progress in early seasteading ventures is near. So let's shift our brains into near mode and to talk about where you fit in as students and activists on the verge of the real world and job market. We're all thinking about how to promote liberty, and you want to be efficient, maximum impact in a minimum of time. There are parties to go to, GPAs to maintain, some of you have part-time jobs. So forget folk activism. If you want to actually change the world, you must think strategically about how to do that, and be prepared to take risks and experiment, and not just do what you're supposed to do. University can provide a good education in some respects, but too often it's incomplete, with too little focus on real-world problems. You'll be familiar with this argument from Peter Thiel. We are less demanding than Peter Thiel's 20 under 20 program. We don't require you to drop out of college. But we have the same aim, to promote your career and to promote freedom. We want you to attempt to solve a technological problem relating to seasteading, or a legal problem, or come up with a business plan that you or others can turn into a multi-million-dollar seasteading startup. Anyone can apply, and we've tried to open our student volunteer program to as many fields as possible, but not all projects will be considered. We are not looking for another treatise on how government is awful, or on how you run your anarcho-capitalist seastead with private courts, military, and police. I have no problem with that. I would love to see those things.